Hello and welcome to Southeast Asian Geopolitics Unpacked, the podcast that delves into the complex dynamics shaping our region. I'm Miss Neri, and with me today, as always, is our esteemed expert, Teacher Narith.
Thank you, Miss Neri. It's always a pleasure to be here. Today we're tackling a fascinating and somewhat unexpected topic that has significant implications for regional security. The concern, some might even say fear, that Thailand harbors regarding Cambodia's acquisition of the PHL-03 multiple launch rocket system.
Indeed, teacher. When many people think of military power in Southeast Asia, Thailand's well-established armed forces often come to mind first. So the idea of Thailand being afraid of a system in Cambodia's arsenal might seem surprising at first glance. Can you start by explaining what exactly the PHL-03 is and why it's such a game-changer?
Absolutely, Miss Neri. The PHL-03 is a truly formidable piece of military hardware originating from China. It's essentially a rocket artillery system, but not just any artillery. It's a heavy, long-range multiple-launch rocket system, or MLRS, which is derived from the Russian BM-30 Smerch system. Imagine a highly mobile platform, typically mounted on a large 8x8 truck chassis, capable of unleashing a devastating barrage of rockets in a matter of seconds. The key characteristics that set it apart are its large caliber, a whopping 300 millimeters, and its exceptional range. We're talking about the ability to strike targets anywhere from 70 kilometers with standard rockets up to a staggering 150 kilometers or even potentially beyond with extended range variants. This isn't just a battlefield support weapon, it's a strategic asset that can project power over significant distances.
So it's not just a big gun, it's a system designed for deep strikes. What kind of rockets does it fire, and what kind of damage can it inflict?
That's an excellent question, Miss Neri, and it's where the fear factor truly comes into play. The PHL-03 can fire various types of rockets, each designed for maximum impact. The most common are high explosive fragmentation, or HE frag rockets, which scatter thousands of deadly shrapnel pieces over a wide area, devastating troop concentrations, light armored vehicles, and unprotected infrastructure. But it doesn't stop there. It can also deploy submunition rockets, which release dozens of smaller bomblets over an even larger footprint, effectively saturating an area equivalent to several football fields with explosive charges or even anti-tank munitions. Imagine the psychological and physical impact of such a strike on an airfield, a logistics hub, or even a border town. Furthermore, there are fuel-air explosive warheads, which create a massive, long-duration blast wave that can obliterate structures and personnel in enclosed spaces far more destructively than conventional explosives. The sheer volume of fire, a single launcher can unleash 12 rockets in quick succession, means that a battery of these systems can deliver an overwhelming area denial capability that few regional militaries can easily counter or even withstand.
That paints a very clear picture of its destructive potential. Now, let's turn to Cambodia's perspective. When and why did Cambodia acquire such a powerful system, and what does it signify for their military strategy? Cambodia's acquisition of the PHL-03, which became publicly known around the early to mid-2010s, marked a significant shift in its military modernization drive. For decades, Cambodia's armed forces were largely focused on internal security and maintaining a basic defensive posture, often relying on older, refurbished equipment. However, in recent years, under its broader military modernization program, Cambodia has sought to enhance its deterrent capabilities. The PHL-03 fits perfectly into this strategy. It's about having a credible deterrent that can make any potential aggressor, particularly one with superior conventional forces, think twice. Historically, Cambodia has faced significant security challenges and has often felt vulnerable given its past conflicts and smaller military footprint compared to some of its neighbors. Acquiring a long-range precision artillery system like the PHL-03 allows Cambodia to project power defensively, threatening targets far beyond the immediate front lines, thereby complicating any offensive planning against it. This move also highlights Cambodia's increasingly close ironclad friendship with China, which has become its primary military supplier and strategic partner, providing not only advanced hardware, but also training and logistical support. For Cambodia, it's a statement of enhanced sovereignty and a strategic investment in its national defense, moving beyond a purely reactive stance to a more proactive deterrence posture.
And this strategic shift is precisely why Thailand is so concerned. It's not just about the weapon itself, Miss Neri, but the context in which it operates. Thailand and Cambodia share a long, often contentious border, punctuated by historical disputes in periods of intense friction. The most prominent recent example, of course, is the series of armed clashes between 2008 and 2011 over the Preah Vihar temple complex. These were not minor skirmishes. They involved artillery exchanges, significant troop movements, and resulted in casualties on both sides as well as civilian displacement. The International Court of Justice eventually weighed in, but the underlying tensions, particularly regarding border demarcation and historical grievances, have never fully dissipated. So when Cambodia introduces a weapon system with a 150-kilometer range, Thailand sees this not as a defensive measure against some hypothetical distant threat, but as a direct capability aimed squarely at its own territory and military installations along that contested border, and even deeper. The PHL-03's range means it can comfortably reach major Thai border towns like Surin, Sisaket, and Aranyapurtet, as well as critical military bases, airfields, and logistics hubs that might have previously been considered safe from Cambodian land-based fires. This fundamentally alters the military calculus.
So it's about the weapon's reach combined with the historical baggage. But does Thailand not possess comparable long-range artillery systems or air defenses that could mitigate this threat? That's a crucial point, Ms. Neri. While Thailand certainly possesses a modern and capable military, its existing artillery, while robust, might not have a direct, readily available equivalent in terms of the sheer range and payload of the PHL-03 MLRS for immediate counter-battery fire. Thailand operates systems like the M109 self-propelled howitzers and various towed artillery pieces, but their typical effective ranges are generally less than what the PHL-03 offers, especially with its extended-range rockets. While they also have other MLRS systems, their reach might not be as extensive or their numbers as strategically positioned to immediately negate the threat across the entire sensitive border region. Moreover, while Thailand does have air defense capabilities, intercepting multiple incoming rockets from an MLRS system like the PHL-03, especially in a saturation strike, is an incredibly challenging task, even for advanced air defense networks. Rockets are inherently harder to intercept than traditional aircraft or even ballistic missiles due to their speed, trajectory, and often sheer numbers. The PHL-03 also benefits from shoot-and-scoot tactics. It can unleash its rockets and then quickly relocate before counter-battery fire can accurately pinpoint and engage its position. This combination of range, destructive power, and tactical mobility creates a significant dilemma for Thai defense planners. The psychological impact cannot be underestimated either. The mere presence of such a powerful system changes the entire perception of deterrence and the potential cost of any future border confrontation, making Thailand understandably wary of actions that could escalate into a conflict where these systems might be unleashed.
Exactly. The PHL-03 isn't just about destroying targets, it's about altering strategic calculations. Let's delve a bit deeper into the implications for regional dynamics. Firstly, it creates a new layer of deterrence for Cambodia. Any conventional military action by Thailand that crosses into Cambodian territory would now face the very real threat of devastating retaliatory strikes deep inside Thailand. This isn't just about border skirmishes anymore. It introduces the specter of targeting critical infrastructure, provincial capitals, or even military airfields, effectively raising the stakes of any conflict exponentially. Secondly, it could potentially trigger an arms race within the region. Other nations might look at Cambodia's acquisition and Thailand's reaction and feel compelled to seek out similar long-range precision strike capabilities to maintain their own deterrence or perceived balance of power. This isn't conducive to regional stability. Thirdly, it underscores China's growing military influence in Southeast Asia. By providing advanced systems like the PHL-03 to countries like Cambodia, China not only strengthens bilateral ties but also subtly shifts regional power dynamics, securing a foothold and demonstrating its capabilities as a major arms exporter and strategic partner, challenging traditional Western dominance in arms sales. This broader geopolitical angle is something regional powers like the US and even other ASEAN members are watching very closely, as it represents a tangible manifestation of China's expanding reach and strategic alliances within the bloc.
So the PHL-03 is not just a weapon, but a symbol of a changing geopolitical landscape. Looking back at the historical context of Thailand and Cambodia's relationship, particularly the Preah Vihar dispute, how would the presence of such a system have altered the course or the severity of those clashes? That's a profound question, Ms. Neri. If Cambodia had possessed the PHL-03 system during the Preah Vihar clashes from 2008 to 2011, the entire dynamic of the conflict would have been dramatically different and arguably far more devastating. Those clashes, while significant, were largely localized engagements involving artillery, small arms, and occasional incursions. The fighting was fierce around the temple itself and immediate border areas. However, with the PHL-03 in its arsenal, Cambodia would have had the capability to escalate the conflict beyond the immediate disputed zones. Instead of simply exchanging artillery fire along the border, Cambodian forces could have threatened or even executed strikes on deeper Thai targets. Imagine the impact if during those tense years, rockets with a 150-kilometer range could have targeted Thai provincial command centers, troop assembly areas well behind the front lines, or even key bridges and logistics nodes in cities like Surin or Sisaket. This would have transformed what were essentially border skirmishes into a conflict with the potential for widespread destruction and significant civilian casualties deep within Thailand. The fear then isn't just about losing a skirmish, it's about the very real threat of strategic paralysis, economic disruption, and the rapid escalation to a full-scale, highly destructive war. The international community, which was already struggling to mediate, would have faced an even more urgent and dangerous situation, as the potential for regional instability would have been dramatically amplified. The PHL-03 makes the cost of military adventurism, or even miscalculation, unacceptably high, compelling both sides to exercise far greater caution.
And not, Ms. Neri, brings us to the core of why Thailand is afraid. It's not a fear of Cambodia's military capability across the board, but a very specific, rational concern about a particular weapon system that dramatically alters the balance of power in a historically volatile border region. The PHL-03 provides Cambodia with an undeniable and significant long-range strike capability that Thailand must now factor into all its defense planning and strategic calculations. It transforms Cambodia from a smaller